unaddressed. Things like, what are the security rules for these new architectures, for these massively distributed, in the cloud kinds of architectures? How are we going to deal with identity and access control and even canonicalization in those kinds of applications? We can also create new tools that take a positive approach to security, verifying that applications do the right thing and not focused on finding negative vulnerability signatures. So talking about research, I need to thank all the participants in the Owasp Summer of Code. We've got 31 new projects coming out in about a month, and they're all amazing. New tools and new documents. Dennis is going to talk about that in a few minutes. So a third thing we can do. We can turn application security from a black art into a science. It's still a black art today. It's very difficult to become an application security expert, and a lot of the reason is that a lot of the knowledge required is really in the heads of a lot of the people in this room. What we can do is we can organize and link and simplify all that knowledge and make it accessible to people. Owasp has hired a technical editor. Maybe not everyone knew that, but we are putting a massive amount of effort into refactoring all the information that we have, and we're producing these books. So we're really trying to make Owasp not just a wiki with everything in the world related to application security, but a high-quality knowledge base. If you get a chance, go find Leo Cavalieri. He's here, and he's working on the Owasp Application Security Desk Reference program. It's like the physician's desk reference. It'll contain all the foundational knowledge related to application security. So you can download that now. It's like 1,000 pages, and you can check it out on Lulu. Or find Juan Calderon. He's here, and he's working on translating all of Owasp's information into other languages. We've got the Owasp Top 10 translated into about a dozen languages, and he has single-handedly assembled a team to translate all of our books into Spanish. If you stand around long enough, Dennis Cruz will probably come up and start talking to you about the Owasp in School program. We're going to facilitate free one-day lectures on application security at universities around the world. Okay, a fourth thing we can do. We can enable secure coding. So there are some voices in the blogosphere that suggest that we should give up on secure coding and fall back to vulnerability scanning and virtual patching with WAFs. That is one possible future, but think about it. I think that future is going to be one of chasing vulnerabilities and managing blacklists and being frustrated. I want a future where security is a primary requirement for applications, where we follow building codes, and we have a strong set of standard security controls that we can rely on, and where development teams want our help and aren't resentful of security. We need much more focus on building and less on breaking. Breaking things is easy. If you want some real street cred, go build something secure and tell everyone how you did it. Find Arshan Dabirzyagi, he's here, and talk to him about his anti-SAMI project. He picked a very hard problem, and he went out, came up with a great solution and published it at Owasp, and now companies around the world are using his approach to secure their websites. Even Microsoft has copied his approach and is building it into their anti-XSS library. We should be putting more effort into the small set of security controls that we can use to address the large set of possible vulnerabilities. So if you're interested in standardizing controls, I'm easy to find in a crowd, and I like nothing better than to talk about Owasp's Enterprise Security API project. Another thing we can do, we can fix the software market. But buying software today is like buying drugs off the street. You get no assurance, crazy risks. Our developers are totally addicted to new code. So you can find them. You talk to code junkies out there, just jonesing for their next fix of a Java library or an Ajax framework. And who knows? The code you buy might be laced with PHP. We can't go on blindly trusting applications. As long as security is invisible, market forces basically guarantee insecurity. Before I buy software, I want some visibility. I want to know what language it's written in, and how many lines of code it is, and what libraries are used by it, and what tools were used to build it. I also want to know a little bit about who built it, and what security controls does it contain, and how is it tested. We can create standards for this stuff, for buyers and consumers of software to communicate about what's in the software. If you can, find Mike Boberski. He's running Owasp's Application Security Standard project. We're going to define 4 levels of assurance for applications. That standard should be out very shortly. Another thing we can do, we can work with technology groups. So if you use MITRE's CWE as a rough guide on how many types of weaknesses there are out there, our score today is 695 to 0. We haven't stamped out any of them. We can make security mistakes a lot less likely to happen. We can reach out to the groups that are responsible for various standards in technology, like HTML and CSS and JavaScript and Flash and Java and .NET and Rails, and help them build easy-to-use, high-assurance security into their platform. Talk to Arshan about his Owasp Intrinsic Security Working Group. He's been reaching out to these groups and providing them, his team has been providing recommendations on how they can improve security in their product. And the coolest thing is it's working. I'll give you an example. We've formed a connection with the Java Servlet 3.0 team, and we've been giving them recommendations, and they are going to eliminate the possibility of header injection, response splitting. They're going to make massive improvements to cookie security. They're going to add a set of encoding libraries to the platform so that developers can do proper output encoding. And we're even talking to them about building CSRF token protection right into the Java Servlet spec. A last thing we can do. We can make application security into a movement. If we work together, we really have an opportunity to change things, because no one else is going to do it. Look around at the people in this room. If application security is going to be a widespread success, it's going to be because of the hard work of the people in this room. Let's compare our progress against the Agile movement. We have conferences. They have conferences. We've got tools, and they've got tools. We've got process, sort of, and they have process, sort of. But we have this awesome business driver that I think is much more urgent than what Agile has. We should be more influential than Agile, yet they've made much deeper inroads into software development organizations than we have. Really, I think a lot of what we're doing is just preaching. We can make a manifesto for application security that everyone can get behind. And we can define a clear set of principles and activities to back that up. Essentially, we need to tell people what a responsible application security program looks like. Otherwise, how is anybody going to know whether